Happy Tuesday. It is Glenn Clark Radio. I am Glenn. He is Griffin. Busy day ahead. Today's show brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. The best place to watch and bet on everything, including every football game this weekend, Thursday night, college all day Saturday, all day Sunday, Sunday night, Monday night. Reserve your spot by emailing events at sportssocialmd.com. And remember that every Super Bowl futures bet that you get in, $25. You can register that bet to win a pair of tickets to the Super Bowl. FanDuel.com/SBNAZ. Coming up on the program today in just a few minutes, we'll preview the Maryland 5-Star, which happens this weekend in Cecil County. Maryland 5-Star CEO Jeff Newman is going to join us later this hour. Al Wallace, former Terp, now a talk show host down in Charlotte. We can get his thoughts on whether or not DJ Moore might be available, or Brian Burns might be available, or I don't think the Ravens will be in the Christian McCaffrey market, but you know what the hell. Take them all. Robbie Anderson. If you can't get DJ Moore, maybe Robbie Anderson would be available, or I don't know. We'll talk about all of that after the Panthers fired Matt Rule yesterday, and maybe they're waving the white flag, perhaps, and we will see if they're in the market to making some deals, as perhaps they realize that a full-on rebuild is necessary. We'll talk to Al Wallace about all of that. Joe Serpico will join us. We'll preview Waiver-Wire Wednesday with him, PressBox fantasy football expert. Dare we invoke the name of Taysom Hill again after he had himself a day as the Saints won on Sunday. And we will check in as well with our buddy Howard Griffith from the Big Ten Network, get his thoughts on tough one for Maryland over the weekend. And, you know, are they still contenders? Did that maybe shine a light that perhaps we were getting a bit carried away when it came to Maryland? And also, why does the Big Ten hate Maryland? We will ask all those questions of Howard Griffith a little bit later on. Quickly here at the top, before we get to Jeff Newman. One, John Harbaugh had his press conference yesterday. Marcus Williams is going to go on IR, but he says it's not season-ending, so I guess that's good news. There's a lot of room between those things. Of course, what you know is someone goes on IR, they have to miss 4 weeks. The question becomes how much more than that might he miss, and can the Ravens survive that? It might line up nicely around the bye, that perhaps coming back on the other side of the bye would be when Marcus Williams would be ready to go. There's no getting around it. It's a big blow. You would like to think that Kyle Hamilton would be ready to step in and play a bit more, but clearly they didn't feel that way on Sunday night, so I don't know what might change that going into this week. Frustrating. Geno Stone played admirably as he was pressed into duty, and so, again, you hope maybe that could continue. You hope, but it's a hope. That's all it is. It's just a hope. You have no real way of knowing whether or not Geno Stone could hold up for 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, weeks that they might need him as Marcus Williams is sidelined. So no getting around that. But, again, the good news being it's not season-ending, according to John Harbaugh, for Marcus Williams. The other thing that I thought was interesting, obviously last night the Chiefs beat the Raiders, and there's a ton in there. There's the fact that the Raiders went for 2 when there were still 5 minutes left in the game, as if there would be some sort of significant difference in being up by 1 versus being tied when they were giving Patrick Mahomes the ball. Now, somebody might say, hey, well, they were down by 1 and they got the ball back from Patrick Mahomes and they had a chance. That's fair. I still don't understand the thought process in that moment. There's way too much time. Again, end of the game, you go down and score with 10 seconds left. Completely understand why it is that you would decide, I want this to be decided by us. I get that entirely, although 10 seconds might still be enough for Patrick Mahomes, as we remember what happened in the playoffs a year ago. 5 minutes left, I don't get it at all. I also don't know that I understood the Chiefs trying to go for 2, to go up by 2 scores. My buddy Andrew Stecca was going off about that with somebody over the weekend. I can't remember who it was. I'm still, until the numbers suggest that it's a better than 50-50 proposition for you to convert the 2-point conversion, They can be the team that has to do it. We keep trying to make it seem like a 2-point conversion is an easy thing to get, and it ain't. You got one play. When you get first and goal from the 3-yard line, you expect to score because you have 3 plays to do it. One play to score from the 3-yard line. You can call up all the great plays you want. They only have to defend so much of the field. The advantage is to the defense. And I get the numbers say it's been roughly a 50-50 proposition. I'd have to look to see if that's been updated this season to see where the numbers might be. But the idea that it's easy, not at all. The advantage is the defense. You got to make one stop. In a league that doesn't prioritize running the ball, as we saw last night with the Raiders trying to run it in on the 2-point conversion and coming up short. I'll let the other team be the team that has to convert a 2-point conversion before it's me in that circumstance, but that's me. The other story from last night was the very controversial roughing the passer call that went against Chris Jones. A report this morning from the AP, the NFL plans to discuss roughing the passer penalties amid outrage over 2 disputed calls in Week 5, a person with direct knowledge of the matter told the Associated Press. The person, speaking on condition of anonymity, because the conversations are internal, said changes to the rule are not expected during the season. The person also said the league has not given officials a directive to emphasize roughing calls following Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa's concussion. NFL owners will meet in New York next week. The league's competition committee, comprised of 6 team owners, executives, and 4 head coaches, makes most of the recommendations for rule changes. Teams can also propose rule changes to be voted on by owners, which require 24 votes to pass. I'm not sure what to make of it. Not yet, anyway. I'm not. After the game last night, the officials, Carl Cheffers, defended the decision. Said, hey, the rule says, this is what the rule says. You guys are going to be mad about the rule, but this is what the rule says. You're saying the ball's out. That doesn't matter. The rule says if someone's in a throwing posture, they get full protection. And part of that protection is full body weight, which we've known was an emphasis the last couple of years. We're yelling about the calls themselves when the problem is really the rule. I mean, I don't know, the call, the other one, the Buccaneers call, I don't think that was the rule. I think it was the call. I think last week against the Ravens, the problem was the call, not the rule. But yes, it's getting out of control, and the league needs to step up and do something. And right now they're saying, well, hey, we can't do it during the course of the year. But maybe they need to have a conversation about that. I understand the idea of why they did the full body weight thing. I get it. I get the biggest problem the NFL believes is the possibility of quarterbacks getting hurt, and they don't want that any longer. They lose viewers if the quarterbacks are hurt. So how do you figure out an in-between to be able to play football and to allow guys to be able to tackle quarterbacks without them getting hurt? And the NFL's trying to figure it out, and right now it's created insane scenarios where tackles are penalties. Last night, we can debate that. There was a full body weight situation. I don't like the call, but if that is how the rule is written, that even if the ball's out of the quarterback's hands, he still gets protection, the rule says full body weight, you're getting that flag. And there's no doubt, Chris Jones came over the top and used his entire body weight to bring down Derek Carr. I don't love it, but the rule's the rule. All right, this week, the events I do love. I love everything that helps our area and brings huge economic impact to our area and world-class sporting events to our great state. And this weekend, starting on Thursday, out in Cecil County, the Maryland 5-Star, you can see Olympic athletes in action, nation's best horses and riders competing in one of the world's premier equestrian events. It's the Mars Maryland 5-Star. It's presented by Brown Advisory, and joining us now is the CEO of the Maryland 5-Star. He is Jeff Newman, and he's with us on GCR. Jeff, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat. Thank you for taking some time in what I know is a very busy week.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Glenn. Thanks so much for having me on.
Jeff, for people that still have heard about the 5-star, are kind of aware of it, but still a little bit confused by it, how do you explain to the casual person what is the Maryland 5-star?
Well, first off, it's just an amazing concept. The sport generated out of a cavalry test to get horses and riders prepared for battle. And then it turned into a sport, and then it turned into an Olympic sport. And so it's really an equestrian triathlon, very similar to the Ironman competition for horses. So you have to go through multiple phases in order to win. So it's not a race, it's an international competition. And at the 5-star level, that's the pinnacle of the difficulty in terms of the sport, which only happens in 7 places in the world and only 2 places in the U.S. So if people come out, they're going to truly see something that's really unique that you can only see in a few places in the world.
So that's the part that kind of is wild to me. It's not just an equestrian competition. It's truly a world-class sporting event. There are only a handful of events like the Maryland 5-star.
Exactly. And again, like I said, there's only 2 in the U.S. The other one is in Kentucky. And so, like I said, we want to try to bring an economic impact here to Northeast Maryland, Cecil County. It's a beautiful place to come and spend a week. And we have a whole bunch of activities in addition to the competition, such as retail shopping. We have tailgating. We have demonstrations. We have live music and a ton of Maryland food and beverage. So it's a great family event. You can bring your dog, and it's a dog-friendly event. So, we encourage people to come out in the country and check out something that's really unique.
That's really cool. I didn't know it was dog-friendly. That's really, really cool. Maryland5star.us with the number 5, Maryland5star.us is how you find out more. Get your tickets. Jeff Newman is with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Jeff, for someone who says, okay, I want to check this out, but when should I go? This isn't quite the same as going to a baseball game, right? When should I go? What time of day do I need to be there? What would I expect to see if I go on a certain day? Can you give us an idea of, for someone who's thinking about coming out, when, where, how, some of the details of planning out a trip to the Maryland 5-star this weekend?
Sure thing. Well, it's in Elkton, Maryland, at a facility called Fair Hill, and there's 3 phases. Thursday and Friday is dressage, and it starts at 8 a.m. and goes all the way until 5 p.m. And then Saturday, if you've never seen eventing, really what defines the sport is the cross-country phase, and that's horses going over obstacles on a 4-mile course, and it's just exhilarating. So if you've never seen the sport, Saturday is the day to come. And again, we start at gates open at 7 a.m. with competition starting at 9 a.m. and goes all the way till 4 o'clock. And then Sunday's our show jumping phase, which is really the final. And that starts also at 9 a.m. and lasts until 4 o'clock. So it's a full day of competition. We have over 180 horses competing, and it's just something really cool to see. So that's generally the outline. And each phase, sort of has a different taste. If you like figure skating for horses, dressage is for you. If you love seeing horses go over a 4-mile track, then cross country is for you. And show jumping, obviously, it speaks for itself. So any day offers something unique.
I had heard it described as horse dancing before. This is the first time I've heard it described as figure skating for horses, Jeff. I might have to use that moving forward when we discuss this dressage. That's pretty good. Jeff, the commitment between the state, the region, Fair Hill, to have this event, to keep it. I know this is the second one. Is this what do we know about the details of the future of this event and how much we should expect it to be a part of the calendar here in Maryland moving forward?
Well, it's an annual event. It'll be in mid-October every year. Again, we're in our 2nd year, and we're trying to build, a tentpole event here in Maryland. Obviously the Preakness has been around for so many years, but, we think we have something that ultimately could, come somewhere in the ballpark to that. So the other events in the UK that have been around for 50, 60 years, they get 150,000 people over 4 days. We're right now at about 22,000, and we're hoping for 30,000 this year and so on and so forth. So we just want to continue to make people aware of what they have here in Maryland, come out to Cecil County, and hopefully we'll continue to get those crowds that the other events get around the world.
Jeff, we talked about, Olympic athletes being in action. So I know that perhaps these competitors aren't maybe household names for the average sports fan, but probably important to point out, like, these are legitimately Olympians that you're going to come see this weekend.
Absolutely. Eventing is an Olympic sport, and 5-star is actually higher than the Olympic level. The Olympic level is actually a 4-star, which is just one under. So these are the best of the best coming. It's really the Michael Jordans of horses that are coming out to compete. And we have 3 of the top 5 riders in the world competing, with number 1 in the world, Tim Price. We have number 3 in the world in Oliver Townend, and we have number 5 in the world in Will Coleman. So you'll see a mixture of international and American athletes. And we also have the silver medalist winners from the recent World Championships in Italy. So we have the best of the best. And again, you'll see these horses do incredible things. And even if you don't like equestrian, you could really appreciate it.
I want to go back to what you were talking about with some of the other things that are involved with this weekend. As we're chatting with Jeff Newman, the CEO of the Maryland 5-Star. Not only do you have this world-class competition, you've got the Beer, Wine, and Spirits Showcase, the Maryland Fresh Food Fest. I feel like, again, somebody's sitting there saying to themselves, is this for me to bring out, like, my friends and have a drink? Is this for me to bring out the family? Like, is this kid-friendly? Like, I feel like there are people that have questions, again, just because they're not used to it yet, they haven't been. What is there really something for everyone at the Maryland 5-Star?
100%. We wanted to create a variety of activities. And again, we're trying to create awareness. We want people to come out and see the event and hopefully get hooked on the sport. And in order to do that, that's why we have a craft beer and wine spirits festival for those that enjoy doing that. Those that like to go out and, sample, local produce, we have that offered on Sunday. And we also have 100 retailers. So if you want to come out and do some early Christmas shopping, we have a variety of retailers that are selling, all types of different products. And then we have, yes, you could bring your family. We have kids activities with an organization called the Maryland Horse Industry Board, where they have Kiss a Pony, pet a pony, learn about the horse industry. And we also have what's called the Corgi Cup, which will happen on Sunday. And we have 50 corgis signed up to do racing around our track. So all kinds of fun things. And then, of course, we have great Maryland food and beverage being promoted throughout the 4 days. We have, for example, the Wellwood, which was voted #1 crabs a few years back in Maryland. They have a crab shack here, things of that nature. So I really think there's something for everybody to come out and check it out. And then hopefully you see the equestrian competition and you say, that's something I've never seen before, cool, and want to come back year.
It's really, really cool. Jeff, it's an amazing event. I'm so glad it's here, and I can't wait to get out there this weekend. Maryland 5-Star, again with the number 5, Maryland5star.us is the website. Is there anything else you'd like, social media where you'd like people to be following, something like that? Is there anything else that we can plug ahead of a huge weekend up in Cecil County?
Yes, please follow us at Maryland 5-Star. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also on LinkedIn. And so we encourage you to follow us throughout. You could also sign up for our newsletter through our website. But website should have all the information of, Maryland5star.us, like you said. So, but again, if you want to come out just for one day to check it out, the day to do that is on Saturday for cross country,
awesome.
The 15th.
Awesome. Jeff Newman, congratulations. Can't wait for a great weekend. Appreciate you taking the time for us this morning. I know you're very busy. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Jeff Newman, CEO of Maryland 5-Star, with us here on GCR ahead of a big weekend. Seriously, I implore you. I said this, and I'm going to keep saying it. I wrote about it in the aftermath. I was as disappointed as everyone was about what happened with the World Cup. It was devastating. I was wrecked by our city and our region being left out of the World Cup. Crushed me because it was the realization, hey, this was probably the only chance in my lifetime for this to happen. I mean, I was just devastated by that news. But the first thing that came back to me was I'm not going to spend my time fixating on the people that didn't choose us. I'm going to instead focus on the events that do choose our region and the wonderful things we do have. And y'all can lament and y'all can take the low rent way out and say, oh, this is the problem in Baltimore, blah, blah. Get the F out of here with that. The same way that I wanted to talk up the World Women's Lacrosse Championships over the weekend, Maryland 5-Star, Maryland Cycling Classic, I want all of these things to succeed. I am in favor of every big event. Big football games at the stadium. Navy Notre Dame. I'm on board with all of them. And I want this thing to be a great success because it's a huge opportunity for our region, for our state, to make money, for businesses in the area to make money, to have a serious impact economically, major opportunity for tourism dollars to be spent in the state of Maryland this week. Go out and support the Maryland 5-Star this weekend. Maryland5star.us, again, is the website. Okay, we're going to switch gears here on GCR. We're going to get back into some football conversation. The big news yesterday, of course, is that Matt Rule was fired as Panthers head coach. Now, that alone, we're not all that concerned about up here in Baltimore. It doesn't really impact us all that much. But the question and the immediate thing that, of course, we all were following up with on Twitter was, what else maybe this might signify when it comes to perhaps where the Panthers are and what could be next. And so, is there a possibility that, maybe like some players could be available and the Ravens could maybe bring, like, say, a DJ Moore back home? Well, let's check in with another former Terp and a man who is a radio host down in Charlotte on ESPN Radio. He is our friend Al Wallace, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Al, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to catch up with you as always. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. How you doing? I appreciate you having me on the show.
It's good to chat with you again, dude. First of all, I'm assuming you watched the game on Saturday. What the hell's going on with the Big Ten officiating? Why do they hate Maryland?
They absolutely hate my Terps, man. I just – it just frustrates me to see the team go down in flames the way they did on a couple of bad calls, just missed calls. So they have to get it together. I'm expecting a big win against Indiana this weekend. You got to get this thing back on track. 4-2 feels like we're taking way too many losses so far this season.
Yeah, we are. We were starting to have like visions of sugar plums dancing in our heads out.
Yeah.
We were like imagining what if they went 4-0 in this stretch and then somehow beat Penn State. Could we maybe have like College game day in College Park for the Ohio State game? We were getting a little carried away there for a second, so that was kind of crushing. Hopefully they get the ship righted. But speaking of Terps, look, I guess before we get to what could be next, I'm assuming you couldn't be that terribly surprised by the decision to fire Matt Rule. It just seems like kind of things are a disaster in Carolina right now. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's been a disaster for the last couple of years. 2 5-win seasons for Matt Rule. The team doesn't look like it's getting any better. The players don't look like they're being developed under his regime. And you look at the stadium, you see all the red from the 49ers fans. You go outside of the stadium, the tailgates are all Niners fans. It was embarrassing to be a former player, to walk up the streets of Charlotte, North Carolina, and to see just how bad it is, the complete takeover. And I think that was David Tepper's final straw there when he saw how his stadium, his fan base did not show up to watch that football team. And then, you put a bad product on the field. Baker's now hurt. So many things went wrong, have gone wrong this season. It's a complete disaster here in Carolina.
So he's former Terp Al Wallace, now a host on 7:30 The Game in Charlotte. He's with us here on GCR. So, Al, the rest of the league is what we're wondering now, and particularly here in Baltimore, is there a bigger signal that's being sent by doing this now? Is there a signal that, hey, we realize we got to maybe rebuild this entire thing, that we got to tear it down to the studs and try again? Is this a signifier that, hey, you can call, we might be willing to trade players, or is this just about Matt Rule and say, no, we need the foundation of the players that we have here?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. So I think David Tepper, the owner, needed to kind of show some goodwill to the fans that he was willing to move off of that big contract, 7 years, $62 million contract he gave to Matt Rule. And then two, get, fans back in the stands. But more than that, this is a rebuild. No one's going to say it. No one's going to, verbalize that. But I think at the end of the day, understanding that there are only 4 Carolina Panthers draft picks so far that we have in our pockets for this upcoming draft, I think it's time for a fire sale. I think you use some of the pieces, some of the assets that you have to try to get more draft capital, and that's Christian McCaffrey. Maybe DJ Moore, but I think Robbie Anderson and the deal that he has, but certainly some of those guys have to be removed from this roster. You have to start over. Quarterback's going to be a goal, but you have some assets now. You have some healthy players. I think CMC's at the top of that list, and, man, I hate to swallow that one. DJ Moore might be a guy you might have to move out of here from the Carolinas.
Al, you're speaking our language now, my friend. Now you're this is music to our ears at the moment. I get it. I understand why Christian McCaffrey might be the obvious answer. I don't think the Ravens would be in the Christian McCaffrey market, but DJ Moore and to a lesser extent Robbie Anderson certainly seem like they would. Be real with me. What do you think it would take? Like, what do you think if to say, hey, obviously you don't want to trade DJ Moore because he's a high-level player. When you bring in your next quarterback, you want to have a great wide receiver for him to be able to throw the ball to. What really is this a case of, hey, they'd be listening on DJ Moore, or more like, hey, if you really want to blow us away, then I guess we could talk about DJ Moore?
Yeah, I think it's a blow-me-away type of scenario. DJ's one of their core players, especially on offense. He's still a relatively young wide receiver in the NFL. And, look, he has had a terrible quarterback rotation here since he got here from Maryland. So not a lot of stability at that position, and he still performed well. So I think they want to keep him. I know for a fact he has a great relationship with David Tepper, his wife. He is a well-liked and respected football player. He's just had a bad break as far as the talent at quarterback, I should say. But, yeah, I think if the offer is there and it's one that will blow you away, if you're Scott Fitter, the general manager, you take a listen. So they're going to answer the phone, going to see what everyone has to offer. But DJ Moore, Brian Burns, feels like Jeremy Chin, some of those core pieces I think they want around as foundational pieces to kind of rebuild this thing from the bottom up. And DJ, although, it just hasn't gone well this season, I think they want him to stay around here in the Carolinas.
So you're saying that a fifth-round pick and like a year's supply of crab cakes probably wouldn't be enough to land DJ Moore and Brian Burns?
No shot.
Yeah, probably.
No shot.
Probably
I'm gonna be selfish and keep him here too.
I get that. Let me ask specifically about DJ Moore, because there is somebody we of course know a little bit, no pun intended, more up this way as Maryland people, but I'm sure there's somebody who says, look, the guy, it's been 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's a nice player, but why am I trying to blow someone away to get a DJ Moore? Why is it, Al, that DJ Moore might be even better? Then he's been very productive. I don't want to take anything away. I don't want to say like he hasn't been productive. He's been very productive. But is there a chance, and why would he maybe be worth even more than perhaps what his numbers say that he might be worth?
Because I don't believe that he's played his best football. I don't know that DJ Moore has peaked in his career because of that quarterback situation, the tail end of Cam Newton, and then you have Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, you name it. Now Baker Mayfield. So with that, he's been productive, and the touchdowns haven't been there. But I think the best comp you can look at is somebody like Deebo Samuel. You look at DJ Moore, what he does after the catch. I think there's so much meat on the bone left with what you can do as an offensive coordinator. Joe Brady, Ben McAdoo haven't been able to reach. So that potential is still there. I think he's still one of the better wide receivers as far as production and numbers-wise. Yes, the touchdowns are down, but a lot of that has to do with philosophy and scheme and identity in this offense and that lack thereof. So DJ is a great, great football player. We know that. We watched him through college and now here at the beginning of his football career with the Carolina Panthers in the NFL. So I think there's a lot there. And if someone can get in there and tap what DJ Moore's potential could be, I think he could be considered one of the top 10, top 5 wide receivers, dynamic playmakers in the lines of Deebo Samuel in the NFL.
Is it safe to say it would take a first-round pick for the conversation to begin with DJ Moore?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think David Tepper and Scott Fitter are not hearing anything less than the first rounder for the talent that DJ possesses.
I get that. I completely. By the way, I'm willing to do it for what it's. I know it's not. Unfortunately, they don't let me make the decisions around here. It's crushing for me, but I'm willing to do it because I know damn well exactly what you're getting in DJ Moore. Let me go to Robbie Anderson for a second, Al, because it would seem like that's the more likely one that you could get for a bit of a lesser price. Had a massive season 2 years ago, seemed to drop off a bit. Is that about Robbie Anderson and the trajectory in his career, or again, is that about the Panthers and the offense and the quarterback position and not really about Robbie Anderson?
Yeah, I think it's more about the Panthers. Look, this offseason, there was a market for Robbie. A few teams wanted him, including going back to the Jets. And before that draft hit, and they got some pieces. So he's still a really good wide receiver. He had a bunch of drops last season, but he too had a 1,000-yard receiving season a couple of years ago, and then the Panthers extended him. Look, he's going to have a $12 million cap hit coming up here next year. The Panthers can save that if they trade him, and I think that's one of the big chunks that they're going to be able to do. They're sitting at, I believe, $17 million under the cap. Robbie's going to be gone. He's not a piece that they necessarily need. They invested in Terrace Marshall Jr., who just started playing. Rashard Higgins, they like Shi Smith out of South Carolina. So a lot of other young players are going to get some of those reps where Robbie just hasn't been able to get it done. And he's going to be out of here because that money, that extension, is really going to be his downfall. But he's still a good football player. He still has speed, and he's made plays when he's had the opportunity. So if anybody's looking for kind of a mid-tier wide receiver, a possession guy, a speed guy, it's going to be Robbie Anderson.
Look, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just, I'm setting my sights higher. I want DJ Moore home. That's just the way that it goes. Just another minute here with Al Wallace, former Terp, ESPN Charlotte, with us on GCR. Al, you brought up the name Brian Burns, and again, the Ravens also have a need at edge rush, although they're hoping to get some of their guys back. Can we assume it's the same scenario? This is a guy that already is off to 4 sacks on the season. He's been very productive. It would be a significant price that someone would have to pay in order to get Brian Burns?
Yeah, I don't know that there is a price. That defense has performed well. I think Brian Burns has been the centerpiece, a surprise performer in Frankie Louvu, who was made a starter there at linebacker. Shaq Thompson's kind of aging out, but Jeremy Chin, J.C. Horn, that's the team. That's what this team, Scott Fitterer, I believe, wants to build around. A Seattle guy who was with the Legion of Boom and saw how that defense really propelled the Seahawks to a Super Bowl championship. So Brian is probably not going anywhere along with Chin and J.C. Horn. Those are guys that they want to keep around. I can't imagine a number that it would take to get Brian Burns out of this system. He's their best player on that side of the ball, and I don't know that they're going to be willing to part ways with Burns.
I get it. I completely get it. Again, selfishly, I'd like to have him, but I completely understand that. I feel like Derek Brown's name has been tossed around a little bit. What do you make of that conversation?
Yeah, if you'd asked me about 3 weeks ago, he probably would have been one of the number one guys. Did not perform well against the run against Cleveland, who just ran all over the Carolina Panthers. Pad level wasn't good. He just was overthinking it. And I think he decided to stop trying to be assignment and alignment perfect and just go out there and dominate other 300-pound grown men. And, boy, the leap in his performance over the past 3 weeks has been phenomenal. Look, this guy was a high draft pick, top 10 for a reason, and he had not played up to that potential. When you look at a 6'5", 330-pound guy that is just ragdolling other 330-pounders, we've seen that on film. I think what he's done here the last few weeks is bought himself some time because that B word, that bus word was starting to be thrown around about Derek Brown. He's matured a whole lot. A family man, has 2 kids, recently got married. So I think he's another guy, along with Burns, that you can build off, especially up front. Guys know how difficult it is to get big offense and defensive linemen. And I think they have really 2 good guys in Burns and Brown to kind of, lay that foundation of what they want to be on that side of the ball. They got rid of the defensive coordinator. I don't know that was his fault, but that defense has certainly performed well for Carolina.
All right, so 3 years worth of crab cakes, a 4th and a 6th round pick, and we talk to people and we get Al Wallace's name in the stadium at CQ Stadium in College Park. Does that get us DJ Moore?
Oh, that does not get you DJ Moore. I would love to see number 56 up there. But, man, I love my Terp, man. Jermaine Carter was here as well.
That's right.
For a little bit.
Yep.
And, Marty Herning, the former general manager, he's up there in the D.C. area. He's a Terp guy. So I love my Terps, man. Just give me one guy. Don't take DJ Moore away from him.
All right. Well, we want him, so I'm not going to promise that. We're going to do everything in our power in order to try to get him back this way. At 96 Al Wallace on Twitter is how you follow him. He is the former Terp, Al Wallace, of course, down there in Charlotte. Al, really appreciate you taking the time for us, man. Thank you so much for doing this, and look forward to chatting with you again down the road, all right?
All right. Anytime, fellas. I appreciate it. Good luck.
It's Al Wallace checking in with us here on GCR. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. That's all I can keep saying. I'm interested. I can't pretend like I'm not. This is also still the Ravens that we talk about, and more often than not, whenever we get excited about the availability of a player and start trying to connect them to the Ravens, they're probably not going to end up being here for a multitude of reasons. One, because if DJ Moore is available, the Ravens aren't the only team that want him. Everybody wants him. And the likelihood of the Ravens being the team that's going to pay the most in order to get him is slim. Now, of course, I don't think many of us expected the Ravens to be in on Unique Ngakoue a couple years ago. Another former Terp, and he was. Now, that one didn't work out. Obviously, they made a midseason trade for Marcus Peters, but that was a very unique situation where nobody knew that Marcus Peters was available and only became available because the Rams had dealt for Jalen Ramsey and didn't feel like they could pay both of them. That worked out quite well for the Ravens at a reasonable price, but this is a little bit different. This is a player very much in the prime of their career at a priority position, and if the Panthers are making it clear that guys are available, you would think there would be a serious bidding war for the services of DJ Moore, and I just don't see the Ravens winning a true bidding war for this type of player. But damn, would I.
Trying to figure out what kind of package with Patrick Queen we could put together.
I don't know what.
They want to keep building on that defense.
Yeah,
so.
Okay. All right, dog. All right. I don't know. I don't think that I would be surprised by the Panthers being more interested in players than in picks. I think that was sort of what Al Wallace was alluding to, or even as interested in players as they are in picks. I think they want picks. But maybe that'll be proven to be wrong. And perhaps just to make the cap thing work, they have to consider taking players. I'd be interested in seeing. What I'm so desperate for one credible rumor, one legitimate report. Well, I tell you who's interested is the Baltimore Ravens. Oh my God, this table might move because of the, what would be going on in my pants at that point. This table could literally lift up. What the hell's going on over there? I'm you know exactly what's going on over here. Just need one credible, some reporter. I don't even know who the reporters are in Charlotte anymore. I'd have no idea. Yeah. I think Darren Gant might still be there. I need Darren Gant to just tweet out, have heard the Ravens are sniffing around on DJ Moore. Oh, my God, we're going streaking. We're going streaking at that point.
We'll have to manifest it. Maybe we should start making fake accounts.
Oh, no. I said credible. I want credible.
Well, no, yeah, well, the fake accounts just start, they start the
I
conversation,
understand,
and then eventually a big name has to be asked the question.
Oh, okay, because there's enough rumors on the internet.
Yeah. And they'll be like, well, I mean, I'm not going to put it out of the
Oh, I'd be so excited. Hey, coming soon, the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, the perfect ceramic tailgate or home grill for searing, grilling, baking, and smoking all kinds of food. Get the details. Reserve yours today, ginsugrills.com. Use the code TAILGATE to get $100 off your order. And you can get a sample of the cooking from the Ginsu Kamado Grill before every Ravens home game this season at the Game Day Firehouse, located at the Firefighters Union Hall, just west of the stadium, 1202 Ridgely Street. Stop by, try some food, enter to win a Ginsu Kamado ceramic grill and $500 worth of grilling meats. Still much more to do on the program today, including we got to take a look at Waiver-Wire Wednesday. I had a disastrous week. That decision to play Jared Goff over Aaron Rodgers.
I warned you.
Yay. Hey, it's not like in back-to-back weeks in the two leagues that I care about that I traded DeAndre Hopkins for Trevor Lawrence and then benched Aaron Rodgers for Jared Goff. I'm doing great. Just great. Thanks for asking.
We're going to have Joe on every day.
Jesus Christ. Oh, and I went 2-6 in picks this week. So Just a really good week for your boy.
The one that I was down by 60 and I had like 4 players playing last
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
I ended up
Travis
winning by,
Kelce,
yes.
yes.
I did have
That
Travis
was a good
Kelce.
night to have
Yes.
Travis
Yeah.
Kelce.
So I ended up winning by
4
like 30.
touchdowns. Oh, good for you. Good for you. Get the F out. We're going to preview Waiver-Wire Wednesday. How can you find some help for your team? We'll talk to Joe Serpico next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
What's up, everyone? This is Tyus Bowser, and I'm excited to tell you that I'm back for Season 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show in partnership with PressBox and Great Ace Memorabilia. Join us on Tuesday nights throughout the season as I'll be heading all over town with my special guests. And of course, our co-hosts, Glenn and Rita. Or is it Rita and Glenn? What is it? I look forward to meeting you guys and talking a little bit about football and a lot about life. And if you happen to miss the show, you can now catch a replay Friday nights on 105.7 The Fan. Get all of your details for the Tyus Bowser Show right now at PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser.
It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill.
The 2022 baseball season is in full swing, and the future is brighter than ever for your Baltimore Orioles. I'm Paul Valley.
And I'm Zach Goodman.
And together we bring you the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon with everything you need to know about the Orioles and baseball as a whole. From veterans like Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, and Ryan Mountcastle,
To young stars like Adley Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez, and DL Hall.
we've got you covered for every game, every pitch,
And every debut.
You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or you can listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So join us live on the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
Glory Days Grill's Oktoberfest menu is now running. It's one of their most popular seasonal menus all year. It features the chicken schnitzel, the Oktoberfest brewer's platter, the brewer's sausage sandwich, the Bavarian burger with a pretzel bun, the cheddar ale soup, the slam dunk pretzels, and the apple cobbler. All of these meals pair well with Oktoberfest beers and Angry Orchard on draft. Dine in or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and pick up your favorites to take home. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
Check out Jeremy Kahn's daily picks at PressBoxOnline.com as he tries to find you daily winners. And speaking of winners, here's a man who once won a media curling contest. And I don't think anything else. He's Glenn Clark.
Hey, if you missed it, Stan the Fan Charles and Ross Grinsley caught up with the great Kenny Singleton, sweet swinging Kenny Singleton. You can find that right now by going to Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, clicking on the Videos tab. Go to YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stan the Fan, Ross Grimsley, Kenny Singleton, talking some Orioles, talking some playoffs. Again, find it right now wherever you get your videos, as that conversation was yesterday. The playoffs do indeed get back underway a little bit later on today, as all 4 series are in action today. All 4 of the division series matchups. Game 1 in all 4 series coming up today, starting at 1 o'clock with Game 1 between the Phillies and Braves. It's time for us to preview Waiver-Wire Wednesday. Joining us, as he does every Tuesday here on GCR, he is our PressBox fantasy football expert. He's our buddy Joe Serpico, and he's with us now here on GCR. Joe, what's going on, man? How are you?
We're hanging in there. How's everything going?
Well, it would be a lot better if I didn't bench Aaron Rodgers for Jared Goff last week.
Oh, yeah. I had a gut feeling that was coming this week to me, but that's the beauty of fantasy football.
No,
man.
it's
You
not.
never know what you're getting into
No, it's
any
not.
week.
It's not the beauty of fantasy football. It's the hell of fantasy football when I wake up and find out I was both a loser and eliminated from our Survivor contest for having the lowest points of the week. And if I just would have played Aaron Rodgers, I would have been safe in both. But other than that, I feel just great about my decision making. Let me, for selfish reasons, start there. Am I trying the Jared Goff thing again and just figuring that this was the Patriots defense and, everything will work itself out? Or should I have learned my lesson, and what the F are you doing? Go back to Aaron Rodgers immediately.
Well, if I remember correctly, for this week's sake, I think the Lions are on a bye this week, so hopefully you do put him on your bench.
Are they?
But,
then never mind. All right, fair enough.
I'm pretty sure this is the week that they.
All right.
Well, we're going to talk about that, I'm sure. They're creeping up on us.
You are correct. The Lions. Oh, and the Raiders are on a bye this week. I need another tight end. Awesome. Well, tight end is a great position to need somebody because there are so many good ones this year. God.
Yep.
Gross. Just gross. All right. Well, then, yes, I'll play Aaron Rodgers this week. Let's talk about the waiver wire. At some point, do we finally have to acknowledge somebody in your league should be playing Geno Smith week to week?
He's the person that actually was on the top of my. Well, I have two Seahawks on the top of my my must-add list this week. The one being Kenneth Walker, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second. But Geno Smith, I guess we need to stop all the hate because, to be honest, he looks 100 times better than Russell Wilson does right now. What you do like about Geno is that he also gives you something as a rusher as well. We're in that day and age now where fantasy quarterbacks, you want to, even if they can move a little bit, that little bit of points actually it means a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. Geno Smith is somebody that is now if you're in a 12-team league, he needs to be started. He's just putting up too many numbers up now. To be fair, he is going against some pretty shady defenses the past couple weeks, but until the numbers stop, kind of almost like Jared Goff, until we see it really fall off a cliff, you kind of got to go with them. Some of the big names are not doing what we've seen in years past.
Yeah, and thankfully Jared Goff fell off the cliff, so I don't have to think about it anymore. No, I'm with you on Geno Smith at this point. I tried to ignore it, pretend like it wasn't happening, kind of laughed at the idea of it, but I too am kind of accepting of it at this point, and there's a league where I traded for Trevor Lawrence where now I'm thinking about perhaps picking up Geno Smith because that's the hell that I'm in at this point. You mentioned Kenneth Walker. Unfortunately, I did not find him to be available in any of my leagues. Obviously, if he is, I would assume he is 100% a must-add, must-use waiver priority, and probably even worth a fair chunk of fab in order to get him, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was already some talk heading into this year whether it was going to be Penny's job for the long term. They did use high draft capital to land Walker. And then it kind of seemed like for a little bit, maybe they were going to try to use both guys. But now with Penny obviously out for the season, you got to go all in on Walker. And you almost feel bad for Penny. The kid can never catch a break, just always injury after injury. But Walker, if he's available, both leagues I am in, that he's not available, so which is kind of disappointing because obviously they're trying to stash as many running backs as possible. But if he's out there, he's your number one claim. Honestly, he's probably the top claim that we've probably talked about in a couple of weeks here, just because a lot of the other injured backs have guaranteed to be rostered. But if Walker's available, and let's say you're in a $200 fab league, I'm throwing $50 at that.
Wow.
Just because he's somebody. We're coming to the point of the season now, especially with bye weeks coming up. You want to strengthen your team as much as possible, and he's a guy that's going to get a ton of looks down the stretch. And regardless of the situation, now there's no splitting backs with him. I'm not worried about DJ Dallas or anybody else on that team. It should be Walker's show for the rest of the way.
He is Joe Serpico, PressBox fantasy football expert. He's with us here on GCR. Joe, is Eno Benjamin someone you're picking up on the waiver wire this week?
Waiver wire, not necessarily. I'm curious to see just how banged up the other running backs on their team are right now, just because it also seems like James Conner, he's one of my favorite terms to use about running backs. It's called a plotter. That's what he's starting to look like. He's just, averaging, I believe, is just over 3 yards a carry, so that's a little bit of concern. Eno Benjamin, has a second gear that we're not necessarily seeing from Conner. But I'm not necessarily spending any fab on him. He's a guy I pick up maybe Thursday. And roll the dice with him if you're that desperate. I'm still a little bit weary about putting him in your starting lineup unless you're, again, that desperate.
I am loath to even say this name, but we have to because of what happened on Sunday. What do you say to the Taysom Hill question?
I believe I had mentioned him a couple weeks back, and he's one of those guys. He's going to make or break games for you. Now he's going to have weeks where he puts up absolutely nothing. Even on Sunday, he put up 0 receptions, and he's playing at a tight end position. But you mentioned it before. Tight end position is just so scarce to find somebody at, and he's somebody that's going to be a home run hitter for you. Now, I do think he was a little bit of a beneficiary because of the injuries to Jameis Winston, so that gave him some more extended looks at the quarterback position. So when Winston comes back, I don't think he's going to get the same amount of touches as that. But what other tight end are you going to get that has that opportunity to throw you a touchdown pass, run for one, and then, he can still catch one every now and then too. And we're not getting that from pretty much any other position, any other player in fantasy. So, yeah, you might have a couple of weeks where he puts up maybe 1 point, 3 points, but then you saw this weekend why if you put him in there as a streaming option and he goes off like that, I'm going to assume you won your league that week.
There's no doubt, and again, given what I like in one particular league, I had Dawson Knox hurt, so I picked up Tyler Conklin, who got me a gentleman 0. So, I might as well play Taysom Hill, I guess, at this point, if that's the case. There's really nothing for me to lose if I go ahead and line that dude up. Jacoby Myers, where you at with him?
Oof. Well, it's tough to get on board with anything that is a New England Patriot outside the running backs right now. But Jacoby Myers, when he plays, he is a target monster. He had, I think it was like a 1.5, 2-year stretch where he couldn't find the end zone to save his life. It just seemed super unlucky. But he's another guy who's kind of talked about all season long. If you find receivers on bad offenses, they got to chuck the ball around quite a bit. And the Patriots seem to be that right now. So if he's available, sure, you start him. Again, another guy I'm not necessarily throwing into my lineups right away, but I do want him on my team, and just to see if the target share can continue.
I am intrigued by Jacoby Myers because I feel like he was the one guy that they had like a commitment to ahead of time, although, again, I get it, that saying those words with Bill Belichick is always a mistake because there's no commitment to anything other than whatever the game plan is for that week. That's the way that it works. Joe, anybody else, waiver wire or, wait out the waiver wire if they're sitting there on Thursday, anybody else whose name jumps out at you for this week?
We talked about him slightly last week, and I actually didn't give him enough credit. I said to go get Latavius Murray because of the move that the Broncos made, but then when you watch the game on Thursday night, Mike Boone looked to be the more explosive player between the two. Melvin Gordon, as we talked about, has a history of coughing up the ball, and then Boone just looked like the more explosive player when he got his touches. Again, Gordon is the more prized, I guess, player because they're paying him a good chunk of change to be out there in Denver, but Boone just looked to be. Every time he touched the ball, he picked up 4 or 5 yards a pop, as opposed to Gordon just kind of was out there kind of deal. So, again, he's another guy that, stash him on your bench, see if maybe that tide will turn, maybe the will becomes Boone's job down the stretch. And then another guy that I know I've talked about several times is Brian Robinson. He came back from, the crazy situation that happened to him and immediately took over as the top back for the Commanders. Now, that's not saying a whole lot because he only had 9 carries for 22 yards. But in comparison, Antonio Gibson had 3 carries. And it was the talk of all the offseason that Brian Robinson was going to take over that job, and he did almost immediately. So if Brian Robinson is available, that's a guy you want to scoop up as well.
Hey, really quickly, just because you brought up the Broncos thing, I know it was the worst football game in the history of all time, but what did you make of the Colts backfield situation?
Well, that's a good one. So just watching the game, especially after I can't believe that Nyheim Hines was knocked out that early, but it looked like Deion Jackson seemed to be the guy to go to there. I was kind of intrigued. I was kind of hoping that Philip Lindsay was going to have one of those games where he went off against his former team, but it didn't really happen. It looked like Jackson was the more explosive guy. But it sounds like Taylor's thing is not something that's necessarily long-term. So, if you really need a spot play, go out there and grab Jackson because who knows with these new concussion rules if Hines is even going to get to play this week. But Taylor should be back, if not this week, next week for sure, and that's obviously the guy you want to own in that backfield.
Very good. Joe Serpico. It's at Joe Serp on Twitter is where you follow him. Every day you can see his stuff at PressBoxOnline.com as he gets you ready for Week 6 of fantasy football. Joe Serpico. Appreciate you, pal. Thank you for taking the time for us as always, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
Anytime. Talk to you then.
That's Joe Serpico getting us ready for Waiver-Wire Wednesday. I really am going to have to try to pick up Taysom Hill in that one league because I have no idea what's going on with Dawson Knox, and I'm not going to have a choice, and that inevitably means he's going to do absolutely nothing. And I can't believe that this was the year where you should have spent all of your early picks on quarterbacks, tight ends, and wide receivers. This was the zero running back year if there was ever a zero running back year in the history of football. I'm so sad. I'm so sad that I was doomed just by my draft alone. Doomed. In fact, the league where I'm doing the best, and it's the one that I don't care about, is the league where I purposely didn't do what I was going to do in a real draft because one of my friends that's in the league that I care about is also in that league. So it's John Proctor, and I always do this every year, is I do things I would never do in my real draft. And, of course, that team is great because
you were just
drafting messing around. Yeah. I was just goofing. So, of course, I'm killing it in that league. I hate everything. I hate everything. I hate fantasy football. It's stupid. Why do we do this?
So this is your last year?
I keep thinking that one of these years I have to say it's not worth it. I don't know if I got kicked out of. One of the leagues that I've been in since I was a child either ended or I just got kicked out of. I'm not really sure what happened there. Like, I never heard from anybody about it. They just I realized I hadn't heard about the scheduling draft, and I was like, it's fine. I'm not as close with that group of that as I was when I was young. So, like, if I got kicked out, it's fine. Like, that's life will go on. You say that. I'm 40 years old, man. Yeah, okay. Like, I just can't get worked up about like the fact that I'm out of a fantasy football league. Yeah, we've been doing it for 20 years or whatever. But, like, I looked around one year at the draft, and I was like, I know 3 of these people at this point. I don't know who these people are. Or I don't know how they got in the league. I don't know what happened here. But I'll live. I will survive the fact that I was kicked out, apparently. I guess. I don't even know if I was. They might have just ended it for all I know. Who knows? We're winding down hour number 1 of today's show. It has also been brought to you by Guilford Hall Brewery, where they've got a huge Halloween party coming up on October 29th. Guilford Hall Brewery is just a gem in our city, 1611 Guilford Avenue in Station North. Be there on the 29th. It's free to get in. Costume contest, great music, plus, as always, the incredible beer selection, including the Guilford Hall Lager, as well as they also have an amazing Bavarian menu. Inside, outside areas, you're going to be blown away. You're going to walk in and you're going to say, holy hell, this is here? How did I not know? Well, it's because you weren't paying attention to me, dum-dum. GuilfordHall.com is the website in order for you to find out more. Mike of the Mic is here. MC Ernest. Ernest goes to work because we can never settle on a nickname, so we gave him all of them. And I'm glad he is because we have been preparing this for a long time. Today is the day. MC Ernest, I know you've been studying. NHL season gets underway tonight, and you are prepared to give us your full-on NHL preview for 2022-2023. What do we need to know as hockey gets underway tonight?
No clue.
All right, thank you very much. That was your moment. That was your chance.
I was looking forward to learning something.
Boy, mom spaghetti situation going on over here. Just vomit all over the shirt. What the hell just happened there? This is set you up. You had a chance to knock it out of the park. This could have been the thing that you sent to all the networks in order to get your job. Way to go.
Pulling up the projections.
I don't need you to read from the internet. I don't need that at all. Don't need that at all. Yeah, NHL season begins tonight. No, I got nothing. I have no idea. Who won last year? Tampa? No, Tampa didn't win last year. Colorado won last year. Tampa won the 2 years previous to that, and
then lost.
And then they lost last year, right? But I hedged my bet, so I was good because
well done.
I got them at a great number before the playoffs started. I was like, really? You guys know they won the last 2 Stanley Cups, right? And they loaded. They have all sorts of good players. I mean, so does Colorado. Colorado's loaded. And so I got in on that, but then I smartly got to the finals and said, yeah, I think Colorado is going to win. I'm going to go ahead and hedge this thing.
They seem to be the favorite once again this year.
Colorado?
Yes.
Yeah, that would make a lot of – I would assume that Colorado and Tampa would be the two favorites. I mean, they're insanely loaded, both of them.
Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers.
So the Austin Matthews factor is significant, right?
Sure.
I got nothing.
I know.
I got to be
It's
honest
tough.
with you, bro. I don't know
It's tough.
a damn thing. I don't know anything at all. What are the Capitals' odds?
Capitals odds. Darn it, I was just
A
looking
handful
at
of people around here that care about the Capitals.
Let's see. Ooh, not great.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Wait a minute, what?
They weren't good a year ago, were they? I don't know.
Oh, there they are. They're
I don't know.
they're right in the middle of the pack.
What does that mean, right in the middle? What are their odds?
33-1.
33-1.
The cup.
Okay. And but I mean, again, nobody's got great. What the Avalanche are the favorites, but what are their odds?
Plus 450.
Right. I mean, like that's the reality. You want to play footsie?
That's actually pretty.
It's very
fun.
awkward. Okay, so they're 33-1.
Yeah.
Sure. How about the Arizona Coyotes? What are their odds?
They are dead last.
Oh, that's weird. It's very surprising. But they're going to get Wembanyama, so we're good. I don't have anything to worry about. They're playing.
Could you imagine a 7-foot?
Oh my God, it'd be amazing. It would be absolutely incredible.
It's like a newborn giraffe on the ice.
I feel like there was a bit where, like a Minute Bowl, somebody like that one time went and skated with a hockey team, like years ago, for the sake. It wouldn't have been for social media because there was no social media at the time, but for the sake of the absurdity of the video that would be on SportsCenter or whatever, there was a story of an over 7-foot dude who went out and skated with a hockey team just for S's and giggles. I don't remember who it was, but it was hilarious. The Arizona Coyotes are such a dumpster fire. They are playing. They don't have an arena. For those that don't care about this the way that I care about it, because clearly I care about it a great deal. I'm a fan. They don't have an arena. They got kicked out of their arena. This is a straight shoot. Major American professional sports team.
Where
was
they playing?
Kicked out of the arena. They played not downtown where the Suns play.
Okay.
They years ago, their own arena was built out on the west side of town in Glendale, right where the football stadium is. The problem being, that's not where their fan base is. And this is a very difficult thing to understand. Like I try to make a comparison. It would be like the Capitals deciding they're going to build a new arena and they put it in, Western Maryland.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, it's
in Hagerstown.
It's kind of close. Be like, what the hell? Like, what are you talking about? It's kind of close. And that's not fair. That's an extreme. It wouldn't be Hagerstown. It would be. I'm trying to think of it. It's
like somewhere else in Northern Virginia, or like.
I'm gonna make a better comparison. The better comparison would be if they announced that Baltimore was getting a hockey team, and then, no offense, they decided to put it in Westminster.
Oh, let's go.
Like that would be the better comparison.
I'd be
like
pumped.
You'd be very excited.
Yeah.
There'd be a handful of you,
like 500 people
who'd be
that
all
would-
in, and the rest of us who are like, yeah, I wanted to become a hockey fan, but like, I'm not driving out to Westminster every night. That ain't happening. It would be more like that. Maybe for young MC Ernest, because he lives on campus at Stevenson, that wouldn't be so bad. Like, not the worst drive in the history of ever to get out to Westman. How long would that be? 30 minutes to get?
Not even. I don't think so.
From Steve. I mean, it's all
140 and.
Yeah, but it's still like it's not like there's a highway there. Like
Right,
there's still lights that you have to go through. I used to drive to Westminster a lot when the Ravens did training camp out there. That would be the better comparison. So they put this arena out in Glendale, and every now and then the Coyotes would be good and people would go, right? Because when somebody's good, when there's something happening, it's exciting. But for the most part, the Coyotes stink. And so nobody was going. And so the arena wasn't making any money. And then there's disastrous ownership, and they weren't paying their bills. It was a whole thing. They legitimately kicked the team out. They said, we'd be better off not having an anchor tenant. We would be better off having an arena with no teams. That's a straight shoot. There's this giant 18,000-seat arena. They have no teams playing in it in Glendale. They're just doing concerts and, the rodeo or whatever the F they do out there. And they just decided they were better off than having – that's how much of a dumpster fire the Coyotes are. The NHL, and I've tried explaining this to people over and over again, the NHL won't leave. Everybody just says, well, move the team to one of these other markets where they want them. The NHL – and this is the thing that we can never possibly understand. The NHL wants Phoenix because Phoenix is where you take like everybody that's a money person and you say, hey, come out, we'll go golfing, It's February. It's miserable where you live in Canada. But if you want to spend money on the NHL, come take a trip with us to Phoenix, and we'll go out and we'll take a golf tour. So they don't want to leave Phoenix. The NHL is hell-bent on not leaving Phoenix because it's a very good market. It's a terrible hockey market, but it's a very good market. So straight shoot, the Arizona Coyotes are playing in Arizona State's hockey facility. Now, the first thing is, Arizona State plays hockey? Yes, they do. What a world. Maryland doesn't have a hockey team. Arizona State has a hockey team. This is a hockey arena, not the basketball arena at Arizona State, which is like a 10,000 or so seat facility. This is a 5,000-seat hockey facility. Whoa. This would be like an NHL team playing on campus at Towson in the CQ Arena. Or at UMBC. Actually, I think UMBC might be bigger because I think they might be more like 6,000 to 7,000.
Yeah, CQ's like 5 maybe.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah. It's like playing at an NHL team playing at CQ Arena at Towson. But hey, at least they also don't have good players.
How do they like? Is it the owner? Is it the owner that is like the issue there, or like?
Well, they're trying. They've been working on. They've had like 8 different owners. It's just it's a cluster F.
NHL should just buy the team and then.
I think the NHL did that at one point. I think that might have happened at one point where they bought the team until they could find a new. I mean, it is an ungodly disaster. I don't know how to describe it.
So I'm just gonna bet the puck line against the Coyotes.
I would every night. Every night.
Okay.
You will be profitable.
All right.
I swear to God, whatever it is, every night. And don't get disheartened when they like win 3 games out of 5.
Right.
Don't say to yourself like, they're turning things around. I'm going to bet. No. They are ungodly disastrous. And anything they might have, they're going to trade. Like, it is a complete, until they get the arena built, which I guess is still going to have. By the way, it's so funny. The Coyote thing is so funny. They got to an agreement they were going to build an arena in Tempe, which is on the east. That would be like, if we got a team in Baltimore and they put the arena, say, in Towson, right? Like, it would be convenient for the most part. Downtown Phoenix is destitute, so it actually would be better to be on the east side of town. So they got this agreement done to build, and now this is such a straight shoot. The city of Phoenix is they're sending out mailers trying to get people to say, we don't want an arena in Tempe, and like saying it has something to do with the airport and you're going to have airplanes flying. Like, it's such an ungodly cluster F. Nobody, of course, in the rest of the country would possibly care because they're the least interesting franchise in all of American pro sports. They are the most absurd franchise in all of American pro sports. That's my team. That's who I root for.
I think it would just be crazy to pull up to a game in like shorts and a t-shirt to watch, and then have to bring like
100%
into the hockey stadium.
It's kind of why I fell in love with the hockey. Is I didn't know we didn't have a team here, so I was never into hockey. Then I got out there and I went. I'm like, this is awesome. This is so cool. I'm so all in on it. But they stink. They stink.
FanDuel's got a cool special. You can bet on who Ovechkin's gonna score his 800th goal against. Like what team?
How many does he have coming into the season?
780.
780.
Yes.
Okay. And what's Gretzky's number?
Good question.
Also, when do they play Arizona?
Yeah, right, because he might score 20 that game.
Gretzky has 1,072.
What?
That's what I'm looking at.
No, he might have 1,072 points. He doesn't have 1,072 goals. Nobody has 1,000 goals in NHL history.
It's including playoffs.
Well, that might include playoffs.
So regular season 894.
894. All right, thank you. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
They highlighted it.
And I assume he's got a lot more than that in points because I think he had like 1,000 assists.
Right.
894. So was the thought that like maybe 3 more years is what it would take for Ovechkin if he could still play at a high level to get there?
It'd be a long.
But it is, and I've said this before. Like if you're the Washington Capitals, you don't. No offense to like the 6 of you that were like we oversell how many people in Baltimore care about the Capitals. It's a handful. We've done all of the research. It's a handful. Like, it's not enough that, like, anybody in Baltimore can be profitable trying to do Capitals business. Like, we've tried. And I promise you, like, people the handful of you that are Capitals fans, like, always get mad when I say that. But, like, I promise you, we have done all of the research. It's a handful, and that's cool. If that's what you're into, that's what you're into. I'm not mad at you. Once upon a time, I used to have this, like, I hate everything about Washington thing, and I don't care anymore. I'm over that. I got kids. I got too much going on to care about that any longer. If you want to be into the Washington Capitals, I'll never understand it. I don't know what your association is with Washington and the Capitals, but if you want to be into the Washington Capitals, God bless you. Be into the Washington Capitals. They have nothing. They are a meaningless organization for their entire history outside of the arrival of Alex Ovechkin. And, again, the two of you that cared about Dale Hunter and Rod Langway and whatever, Drew Forrester, you can care. But that you can't change reality. The Washington Capitals were irrelevant. They had one career trip to the Stanley Cup Finals where they got swept by the Red Wings. They were nothing until the arrival of Alex Ovechkin. Nobody cared. So if Alex Ovechkin wants to pursue Wayne Gretzky's record and, like, he's not the same guy at the end of his career, the Capitals absolutely should bend over backwards for the dude and say, play as long as you'd like. You want to play till you're 50 in order to break this record? Go right ahead and do it, because they owe their entire existence to this person. That's the only thing they've ever had going for them, is this guy's arrival. So if he wants to stick around, and he stinks at this point, but you got to keep putting him on the ice so you can allow him to score goals or try to take a shot at the record, they should 1,000% let him do that. I also don't care what they do. They just does not affect me at all. Today's show also brought to you by the print issue of PressBox, which is available right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms and at the hundreds of locations around town where you find PressBox. You can read it all. PressBoxOnline.com. Mark Andrews on the cover. This one only available until Monday, so this is your final week to go get this print issue of PressBox. If you can find it, I'm told it's basically gone from most places. But you can always read it at PressBoxOnline.com. Coming next week, a new issue with Kevin Willard on the cover. When we come back in, we will talk some Terps. Speaking of Kevin Willard, we'll talk some Terps, but on the football side, Howard Griffith from Big Ten Network, get his thoughts on a disappointing loss to Purdue and why the officials hate Maryland and the whole thing. That's next, Glenn Clark Radio. See Olympic athletes in action as the nation's best horses and riders compete in one of the world's premier equestrian events at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Academy, October 13th through 16th in Cecil County. Don't miss the breathtaking excitement of the dynamic cross-country competition or the elegance of dressage and precision of show jumping. There's also great shopping and activities, including a fresh food fest, corgi race, and a beer, wine, and spirits showcase. So come enjoy a beautiful fall day at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th. Learn more and buy tickets at maryland5star.us.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
Join Glenn at halftime of every Ravens game for the Project Game Day halftime show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. We apologize in advance. There's not much we can do about his face.
Always seems so inappropriate. Today's show brought to you by Glory Days Grill. The Oktoberfest menu is available at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website for you to find out more and get your order in. The chicken schnitzel, the Bavarian burger on the pretzel bun, the brewer sausage platter, the brewer sausage sandwich, the slam dunk pretzels, and the cheddar ale soup. Oh, my mouth waters just talking about all of it. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website for you to get your order in right now. Again, GloryDaysGrill.com is the website. All right, two things. One from Dave. Dave says, sorry. Glenn, you were talking earlier about DJ Moore. I don't know if I'd be wanting to give up a first-round pick in order to get DJ Moore, but do you really think that's what it would cost? It feels like that's not been the price for wide receivers recently. I don't know. Dave, I don't know. I don't have that answer. I would say that considering the Ravens, most teams would expect are going to be picking late. I think that most teams would say, "Hey, your second round pick isn't as valuable," and there might be a thing where you maybe have to give up first round pick, but you get something back in exchange, that type of deal. I'd just be saying that if that's what it required, I'd be willing to do it. Like the Ravens need more special on the field. DJ Moore is special. Remember when Stephon Diggs was available for a first-round pick, and everybody was like, first round, I don't think we'll do that. And then remember how his arrival completely changed the fortunes of the franchise that he went to? When you have the opportunity to get a special football player, I'm willing to pay the price to get a special football player. DJ Moore is a special football player. If that's what it takes, because there is a competitive market, and the Panthers say, hey, we don't have to trade the guy. We're going to want to have a quarterback next year, and whoever that quarterback is needs somebody to throw the ball to, so we're not in a rush to give up on DJ Moore. If that's what it takes in order to pry him away, I'm definitely willing to do it. I don't know why there would be a debate about it. He, of course, DJ Moore was a former Terp. The current Terps took one on the chin on Saturday. Heartbreaking fashion. Yes, some controversy involved. Let's find out what it means moving forward. Joining us now, you see him on the Big Ten Network. He is Mr. Howard Griffith, and he's back with us on GCR. Howard, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us as always.
Hey, no problem. How you doing today?
Well, we're all right, but we need to know, why does the Big Ten hate us? What's going on with all that, Howard? The hell is happening? The Michigan game, 2 interceptions that weren't even interceptions. Then we get this goofy thing on the extra point the other day where they're clearly offsides, and everybody with a brain can see it. But what the hell is going on, man? Like we brought you this new market, two great markets for the Big Ten Network. Why does the conference hate us?
I'm not so sure the conference hates you, but are you sure that it was obvious that he was offside?
That still frame makes it look really bad, man. I get it. The video has been slowed down, and there's some debate about it. It's still, every time I see that still frame, I'm like, really? See, wait, what?
Yeah. I mean, the unfortunate part is there's no, at least I have not seen it, there's no angle down the line. That's ultimately would have told, but I got to tell you, the jump that he got was incredible. You just can't say for sure whether or not he was offside. At least I haven't seen anything that tells me definitively he was. So, I mean, it's a tough break, but listen, this is to me, that's a tough way to go down. But this is a Maryland team that's really close. I think they're really close. They're doing a really good job over there. Just need to continue to stay the course.
I am in a weird place, right? Because I as much as we want to put it on officiating and this, an eligible man downfield on a 2-point conversion, which seems egregious when it has nothing to do with it. Like as much as we want to talk about that, what really jumps out at me is the Maryland forced 3 turnovers in the third quarter on Saturday, and yet was unable to pull away. And that, to me, if you're going to be a team that's taking the next step, and I think that was the hope. And I always thought it was, it was crazy to think this team could compete to say, like, win the Big Ten because the Big Ten's too good, and I just don't think they're there. But the idea of being a team that's taking that next step, I don't know how you can be that team and not be able to take advantage of 3 turnovers in a quarter to pull away from a team like Purdue that had absolutely zero ability to run the football on Saturday. I am a Mike Locksley guy, and I'm a believer in the direction and all of those things. But that part was particularly disappointing for me about this particular team.
Yeah, and that's part of the process of being able to, to do that, take that next step. You have to be able to close teams out when you're in a situation where you can take advantage of it. Because you're right, this Purdue team, although the week before had a lot of success running the football, this is still a team that, is not going to be able to run it consistently. And the way Maryland had been playing defensively, really at a high level, I think they should be able to take advantage of it. But, that's part of the process. It really is. I'm a Locksley guy, Coach Locksley guy myself, and, I know he's doing all the right things. It's just a process of being able to get over the hump. And, you want to see it happen. Everyone wants to see it happen a lot faster than normally it really does.
He is Howard Griffith, Big Ten Network. He's with us here on GCR. And I'm with you. And we had visions of sugar plums dancing in our heads after Maryland beat Michigan State and competed with Michigan, because we looked at the schedule and we said, oh man, could you imagine if they rolled off 4 straight wins? And then maybe, oh my God, what if they went and beat Penn State and they only had 1 loss going into Ohio State? Maybe they could host college game. We were really getting carried away for a second at that point. I guess the big picture question to me, Howard, is what we saw on Saturday. Does that leave you with concerns that maybe Maryland isn't ready to go be an 8-9 win team, and that it was always more likely they're still going to be a 6 or 7 win team again this season? Or, hey, the fact that they competed against what we know is a pretty good Purdue team, and the fact they were right there, does that still make you say, hey, there's every reason why they should be able to handle this next stretch, starting with Indiana and even Wisconsin, and stockpile some wins right now to feel good going into the Penn State-Ohio State back-to-back?
Yes, and I absolutely feel good about where the team is. And this is really, what's the frustrating part about, college athletics and college football in general. You're a few plays from changing the scenario of your season, right? You make a play here, you make a play there. I'm a little older, but I played for Chuck Knox for a while, and he used to always talk about there 5 affordable plays in every game, whether it's college or pros, high school as well, that can change the outcome of the game. And you go through and you can find those 5 affordable plays in Maryland's game last week. And you can do it in every football game. And you have to be able to take advantage of it. But this is still, listen, I still think this is a really good football team, obviously very talented, gotten much better on the defensive side, to me, still playing really well. They just have to be able to close teams out, and that's part of the process. Have to continue to, eliminate penalties, take advantage of teams when they turn the football over. But this is what happens. When you keep trying to take that next step, there's always going to be new challenges that are going to be out there. And it's up to, obviously the players have to go out and play. The coaches call the game plan, but the players have to be able to go out and execute those game plans to the best of their ability so that they can, change the outcome of those games. But I still feel good about this team. I really do. They can make the plays they need to. They just need to get it done against some teams that, this Badger team looks a little different this past weekend than they have, but they were playing Northwestern. Graham Mertz looked like he was the type of quarterback that we thought he was going to be 2 years ago, but he's really struggled to turn the ball over. So how much of that was the Badgers? How much of that was Northwestern's defense that we know is very leaky? Indiana, that's a team that they should be able, they have enough weapons when you look at Indiana versus Maryland's offense that they should be able to put up some big numbers. But you better believe Indiana's going to come in ready to fight. They just need to be able to make those adjustments when they're going going against that team like Indiana, because they're going to give you all they have. So it's going to take a tough fight, to be able to close those guys out.
Perhaps ironic that we're chatting with a fullback today, Howard, because one of the things that jumped out at me Maryland has been a good running team this season. They've been a really good running team, and they're averaging more than 5 yards per carry. Both Henby and Littlejohn, they have found a good combo of backs, and we know they have a mobile quarterback as well. The thing that really jumped out to me was their inability to run the ball in short yardage situations, right? Like that they just weren't able to do that. And I almost feel like it's become a bit of an epidemic almost throughout football, right? That like you get into these short yardage situations where you're ahead of the sticks, you're doing everything right, and yet like you get there and nobody's able to run the ball any longer. What the hell's going on in this sport where in like 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, they almost have to become passing downs? It's not unique to Maryland, although it's frustrating, and it was very frustrating on Saturday. But why is it that not just Maryland, it seems like no one is able any longer to run in short yardage situations?
Well, I'd say this. I'd say it's probably few and far between the teams that are able to line up. But, I would tell you Ohio State is a different caliber team. But when you start to look at some of the formations that they will get into in short yardage, they'll line up in two backs. And you're starting to see that a little bit. Michigan is starting to do a little bit of that where they're incorporating that into their game plan. But it's still, when you're playing a wide open offense, you still want to be able to get that offensive line, those tight ends, to be able to, hold the point of attack. And a lot of teams, whether it's the way they call the game or the way that they're preparing for games, is just a different situation. And the other side of it too is, a lot of people believe if you line up in a run-heavy set, right, then from a defensive standpoint, you're going to sell out versus the run and hope that your back end is going to be able to hold up and you don't get into a situation where they run play action and then they hit something big over the top. But I think it's a combination of things. I think it's a combination, like I said, of people not wanting to get in to the call it two tight, two backs formation and try to just be physical at the point of a line and at the line of scrimmage is just dominated. But I will say this again: if you look at even in the program, we look at the 49ers, they'll get in two backs and punch you in the mouth when they have an opportunity. And so you're seeing some teams do that. And I mentioned Ohio State not from a personnel standpoint because we know what they have that way, but the way they are calling football games, Ohio State's going to be tough for anybody to beat because they can line up in a two back. They can line up two back, two tight ends in a tight formation and be physical at the line of scrimmage. But I think that's kind of where the evolution of football is starting to go back to, because from a practice standpoint, you're not practicing that. You're not seeing that a lot in practice. Your defense isn't, and your offense isn't doing that as well. So it's just a different style of football that people are starting to play. But if you had a personnel to do it, you better be able to line up and punch people in the mouth. Penn State, for years, has had problems, trying to, run when they wanted to, but they've gotten much better at that as well.
Let me wrap with this if I could, Howard Griffith. I'd appreciate the time. Okay. The biggest difference right now for you, what Maryland needs to do, not specifically, again, as we look at these next three games, but if they can come through that and, again, be competitive. I think it's outrageous to suggest that they're going to be a team that can threaten Ohio State, because it feels like it's outrageous to suggest that anyone can threaten Ohio State, maybe in the country at this point. But to have a chance to not only win these next three games, to go into that Penn State-Ohio State, what's the biggest difference for you as far as them taking that next step and being a program that can win 8, 9, threaten to get a bowl game that wins 10 games this season?
Yeah, I think a lot of where college football is right now is that you need to have a dynamic player at the quarterback spot, right? Now they do. They have that. But I think what you have to also start to see is that dynamic player at the quarterback spot. Obviously, you can be a great thrower, but you have to be able to affect the game in the run. You have to be able to pull it down and really stress defenses. And to me, when you start talking about the teams that are competing, for the 14 playoff, or competing to win that championship, you look at the quarterback spot, and that person there is a difference maker. And that's why I'm still really encouraged with where they are, because they have that guy that's a difference maker. I just probably would like to see him more involved in the run game.
Okay.
But as I say that, you're also putting your quarterback in harm's way.
No doubt, and that's
right. I think
it's a sensitive subject around these parts.
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, I'm saying the same thing about Ohio State, right? I'm saying the same thing about Michigan with J.J. McCarthy. They've got to get him more involved in the run game. But again, I'm just an analyst and a fan of football. I'm not the one that's responsible for that team winning and losing. So that's a very difficult situation to be in, particularly if you don't have a backup of that same caliber. Now, listen, most teams don't have, a 5-star backup or 4-star backup that really can come in and, change the game. A lot of times now those guys are getting out of the program and going somewhere else to play. But that's, to me, the difference in, being that elite team. You've got to have a guy that can change things. And listen, I know it's about the offense and the defensive line too, but when you have a quarterback that is dynamic, which Maryland has, that can affect defenses, that can put defenses in conflict, that becomes the dilemma. How much do you run him? How much do you, allow him to have that ability to pull it down and go without, obviously putting him in harm's way?
It's a tough thing. There's been so many quarterback injuries over the years, and look, we already saw Leah get banged up earlier this season in the Michigan game, right? Like, you get apprehensive about it. But I'm with you, and obviously here in Baltimore, I want Lamar Jackson running as much as possible because he's very good at it. He's very good at it, and I don't know why we're afraid of that. But he's also good at throwing the ball, so we like that too.
Yeah, he can do it all.
Yeah,
he's a technical player.
We're spoiled. We are very spoiled in these parts. At Howard Griffith on Twitter is how you give him a follow. Of course, Big Ten Network all throughout the season. Howard, really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Hey, anytime. Take care. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Appreciate it, man. You could see Howard pregame on Saturdays. Of course, Maryland this Saturday, I believe, is on ESPN2 for the Indiana game at 3:30. All right. I just realized, I don't know, how do you deal with this? I'm wearing this fleece inside out.
Are you?
I swear to God, I went to play with the zipper.
Oh my God, yeah, you are.
It's inside out. It's inside out. So, have you ever been in that situation? And what do you?
It looks pretty cool.
Does it?
I think you're pulling it off.
It's one of those things where it's so, it's so plain that it doesn't really it's not dramatic
part of the design.
The way that it looks, right?
I mean, I've been sitting here for an hour and a half plus now,
and didn't notice, right?
The Under Armour around the collar.
Yeah, now it's kind of it's a giveaway, right? Obviously, once you knew, you were like, oh right. So when you're in these situations, what do you do?
I think we call the show now and you go home.
Just it's over.
Yeah, I think it's
because I'm embarrassed by this.
I think
it's
that's
not the end
just
of the
day.
world. I just wonder when you recognize that something's a bit amiss. I remember the morning after my bachelor party, I realized I was wearing somebody else's underpants, and I was like, well, this isn't great. It's not ideal. But I asked the guys, I'm like, hey, why am I wearing somebody else's underpants? And there wasn't a good explanation, but basically one of my buddies was like, yeah, you were pretty messed up, so we decided before we went out that we were going to give you a shower, and then we didn't know where your clothes were, so we just kind of gave you our clothes. And I was like, all right, I guess that's good enough. You know what I mean? I was probably too drunk to be able to tell him, hey, I got to change clothes. It's downstairs in my backpack. Let's just go get that. My buddy gave me his gaiters. I'm not kidding. I was wearing gaiters out to the strip club at my bachelor party.
Nice.
I would tell you more about it, but I don't remember anything about it. I remember nothing about it. But you do some reconnaissance. When you are on your own during the course of a day, maybe you're in class, Micah, and you just realize that there's something wrong here. Do you act like you're pulling it off? Do you immediately get up and be like, I should go to the bathroom? I should run and fix this immediately. How do you go about handling it? I've always been, this is my second reference to 8 Mile this morning. I've always been the type to call out my own failures. Immediately when I noticed it, I was like, I'm just going to bring it up. I'm going to make fun of myself. Because if I make fun of myself, it takes away any of the ammo of you making fun of me. Right? Now, I've already taken all the ammo out.
So excuse yourself in the front of the class. I will be right back. I am wearing
you guys, you're not going to believe it. I'm an idiot. I don't know what's going on. I got 2 different socks on today. That people do that all the time, right? Now I think people do it purposely. People wear 2 different shoes purposely now, right? That's a whole thing. I don't get that. But in the past, I definitely would be wearing 2 different socks, and I'd look down and I'd be like, huh. I guess I was just tired this morning, and I just grabbed 2 different socks. So I've always been the type that when I notice it, I call myself out for it in front of everybody else. I don't know how everybody else is. I don't know if you guys do the same thing.
I think you got to keep trying. I think you got to try to pull it off. Which I mean, I'm going
to change.
Well, yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Well, I mean, but the situation, if you're in the middle
break,
of class,
I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna flip. I might just take it off. I don't think I need the fleece inside.
If you're in the middle of class, I think you got to just roll with it. Like,
just assume that you're pulling it off. That nobody's going to notice.
Yeah. It's just a fashion.
Dude, this is what I meant to do today.
Yeah.
I really like the inside-out fleece. It's just
make it more
becomes,
obvious.
And then it becomes who you are, and now you just have to start showing up to class every single day with your shirt inside out.
Proctor points out that at my bachelor party they could have. I was wearing a tennis skirt earlier in the day. I don't remember how this all. I guess we started playing tennis, and they had me wear a tennis skirt because they know I'm big into tennis. And then we went back, and we were grilling and drinking, and I don't know. It all goes foggy after a little while.
Sounds like a good night to me.
Well, except for the amount of money it cost me. Other than that, it was a great night, but it was very costly for your boy. Very costly. It was a very expensive evening for your pal Glenn. All right, I'm going to fix my fleece, I guess. I guess I'm going to do that. Then we'll come back in here, get a tidbit, get two bit to wrap up this portion of the show. Simply the Bets coming up this morning. Today's show also brought to you by the Tyus Bowser Show. I know it's very frustrating to me that we haven't been able to make an official announcement on the next Tyus Bowser Show. I promise you an announcement is coming. We think we're going to be able to do a show next week. We're still trying to hammer that out. I'll tell you guys. We wanted to do it the following week. It's the week that they're playing on Thursday night. It's just not, and it's a road game. It's just not ideal for Tyus to do a show at night because they're going to be practicing longer during the day. It's just not, it's not going to work. So we're trying for next week. I am at fault. I am unavailable on Tuesday. It's my fault. So the original date that we had for the show was next Tuesday night. I can't do it. I'm just not available. So, we figured maybe Micah could go out and do the show by himself. Or no, he could do the show with Rita, but then Rita was like, I'm away next Tuesday as well. So now it would just be poor Micah sitting there by himself with Tyus and the guest, and it's just a lot to ask someone. It's just, I think, a bit too much. So I'm working with Tyus. We're trying to get the date moved. We will have an announcement, I promise, in the coming days. Tyus Bowser Show is a partnership of PressBox and Grade 8's Memorabilia. It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
See Olympic athletes in action as the nation's best horses and riders compete in one of the world's premier equestrian events at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Academy, October 13th through 16th in Cecil County. Don't miss the breathtaking excitement of the dynamic cross-country competition or the elegance of dressage and precision of show jumping. There's also great shopping and activities, including a fresh food fest, corgi race, and a beer, wine, and spirits showcase. So come enjoy a beautiful fall day at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th. Learn more and buy tickets at maryland5star.us.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka profiles Ravens tight end Mark Andrews' path to NFL stardom, from his late decision to play the sport full-time through having to overcome type 1 diabetes and more. Also, inside, we introduce you to football players at Maryland, Navy, Towson, and Morgan State. And we give you everything you need to know for betting football this season. PressBox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of demos, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
If you can't listen or watch live, you can subscribe to the show via Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review while you're there. Or, if lying isn't your thing, we'll take a 3.5-star review too.
I fixed it. We're good. Everything's good now. Everybody, long national nightmare is over. I am appropriately.
It looks so much better.
It basically looks the exact same. I mean, it really does look. Micah pointed that out. Like the stitching looks the exact same on the outside as it does on the inside. I don't know. It looks the exact same, but it feels better. It feels right. I don't know why it is that this morning I put my my fleece on inside out. It is what it is. All right, today's show is winding down. We are going to turn things over to Simply the Bets coming up in just a minute. It's also been brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. All right, we were unfair to Micah earlier. I set him up. I said, hey, you got to do our NHL preview, and he was completely unprepared. So I'm not going to do that again. Instead, I am going to turn it over to Micah. MLS playoffs get underway this weekend. Give me your full breakdown.
Say Seattle Sounders probably, right?
Yeah,
Definitely.
That's what I was going to say. I was leaning towards
Do you know that the Seattle Sounders are in the playoffs?
You could say that.
Yeah. Way to be on top of it. Appreciate your help.
Now I want to see if they are.
I have no idea. I mean, they've been good in the past, so I guess they might be. Who the hell knows? I have no clue whether or not Seattle
looks
Sounders.
like Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Is he still in the MLS?
No, he's not.
No. Yeah, he was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
He is a lot of fun, that guy. But that was a short-lived experience.
No, it doesn't look like the Sounders are alive.
Terrible choice. Gonna cost you a lot of money when you take that bet. The FanDuel Sportsbook. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by, this one's brought to you by the Ginsu Kamado Grill. Again, you can see the Ginsu Kamado Grill in action all season long before Ravens home games. Stop in to the Game Day Firehouse, 1202 Ridgely Street. Enjoy some delicious sausage off the Ginsu Kamado Grill. And while you're there, you can enter to win your own Ginsu Kamado ceramic grill and $500 worth of grilling meats. It's the perfect ceramic tailgate or home grill for searing, grilling, baking, and smoking all kinds of food. Get the details, reserve yours today at ginsugrills.com, and use the code TAILGATE to get $100 off your order.
All right, so last night, Travis Kelce, 4 touchdowns in the air, but only 25 yards.
Yeah, it's that bomb. He sucks.
It is the least amount of yards in a 4 receiving touchdown game in the history of the NFL.
That's not that surprising.
Yeah. Breaking the previous record of... Do you want to try to guess who had the previous record?
How would I know that?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, he's still playing.
He's still...
Yeah, he is. Wait. Yeah, he is.
Jimmy Graham?
Not Jimmy Graham.
Is it a tight end?
No, it's a wide receiver. Yeah, it's a wide receiver.
He's still playing, but you had to think about whether or not he was still playing.
I'm pretty sure he's definitely. He's definitely playing.
Julio?
Not Julio.
Really struggling.
Correct last name though.
Who's another Jones? It's not Marcus Jones? Marvin Jones?
Marvin Jones had 4
Marcus
10 catches for 93 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2019. He also did it in 2013 for the Bengals.
How about that?
So I think he's the only one with 2 4-touchdown games.
All right. Good for Marvin.
Yeah. You play with
it's your cousin, Marvin. Marvin Jones. Go ahead.
The player with the most receiving yards in a four or more touchdown game was Cloyce Box.
Ah, sure. That's definitely a real name.
302 yards in December of 1950 against the Baltimore Colts.
How about that?
Yes.
Well, who's Cloyce Box playing? The Brooklyn Bridegrooms?
Who was he playing for?
Nope. Too much. Just go.
Detroit. He was playing for the Detroit Lions. Yeah.
There we go.
And then
By
my question
the
was
way, the greatest moment in Detroit Lions history, without question.
There are 3 players that have had 5 receiving touchdowns in a game. So who are they? You should be able to get one of them. You'll get the other one. I think.
God,
the other one.
You say I will.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember it happening.
Yeah, you should. One of them,
Jerry Rice.
Yes,
Okay.
Jerry Rice in 1990. The other one happened before you were born, but the other two happened.
Oh, good. What are we doing here?
Well, I just wanted to throw. Well,
all right. So they
they're
both
interesting.
Had
They're interesting.
Don Maynard.
Not Don Maynard.
Don Hudson.
I think
is what I meant to say.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure you can get this guy. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Like if he's very well known or not.
Okay.
He was on San Diego. He did it with the San Diego Chargers in 1981.
Stallworth. No, he wasn't in San Diego. Kellen Winslow.
Yes, Kellen Winslow.
Okay.
Good job.
Well,
And then the other one.
It's a Hall of Famer, bro.
Okay. All right. Well, those are the two since the merger. Then there was another one in 1950. Bob Shaw, who also did it against.
You know what? I appreciate the fact that you just decided I was giving up, but you know what? If the answer was Bob Shaw, it was the correct answer.
Yeah, Bob and Cloyce were going crazy.
I mean, what the hell is
so?
this?
Yeah, so in 1950, and also against that horrid Baltimore Colts secondary.
Yeah, it's a rough year in 1950.
Five receiving
Was
touchdowns.
1950 the original Baltimore Colts? Because there were 2 different variations of the Baltimore Colts. The Baltimore Colts arrived and then left, and then the team that we knew as the Baltimore Colts came in. And I wonder if that was the original version. No, 50. I think it was before that. I think it was in the 40s, the original Baltimore Colts. I don't know. I don't have the time. I don't have the bandwidth for it right now because we got to do Simply the Bets.
Yeah, I think you're right. Anyway, that is
tubular. Mike is too tall. We got to deal with the fact that his feet are everywhere.
Sorry.
He's too tall, this guy. Tubular is brought to you by the Maryland 5-Star, which again is coming up this weekend. It is a world-class event. Come see Olympic athletes in action, the nation's best horses and riders competing in one of the world's premier equestrian events, the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th, right here in Cecil County. I mentioned earlier, baseball throughout the day today. Phillies-Rangers, game 1 at 1 o'clock. Rangers Suarez and Max Fried on Fox. Mariners-Astros, game 1, 3:30 on TBS. Logan Gilbert and Justin Verlander. Then game 1 for the Guardians and Yankees at 7:30 on TBS. Cal Quantrill and Garrett Cole. Fox Sports 1 for game 1 between the Padres and Dodgers at 9:30. Mike Clevenger and Julio Urias. UMBC Soccer's at Delaware tonight at 7 on Flow Sports. The U.S. women play a friendly against Spain on ESPN2 at 2:30. CBS Sports Network. So today, Champions League action. The matches are all on Paramount Plus. The Golazo show is at 3 on CBS Sports Network. NHL season does indeed get underway. Thank you to Micah for the dynamic preview that he offered us earlier. ESPN for Lightning Rangers at 7. They make the team. They don't. Wait, so let me get this straight. The Avalanche won the Stanley Cup, and they're not playing the first night of the season.
Good job, NHL.
The hell is that? Like, wouldn't you want to put the Stanley Cup champions on television the first night of the season?
They know they want them to repeat, so they want to give them extra rest before.
Seems like a weird bit, man.
Their opening night, maybe.
Seems like a really weird bit. There might be a story here. Maybe they played like I believe this is the funny part. I think the season actually got officially underway.
There was something on Saturday, right?
I think there was an internet, like somewhere in Russia or somewhere, like
okay.
Finland. I don't know, somewhere like that. Probably not Russia. Finland, something like that. Who knows? Maybe the Avalanche were involved with that. I genuinely don't. I'm sorry. I'm not. I believe you're probably tuning in elsewhere if you're looking for hockey expertise, so I'm not going to apologize too much. Lightning Rangers, 7:30, Golden Knights Kings at 10 on ESPN. NBA TV for preseason hoops, and the USA Network for WWE NXT tonight at 8. Some non-sports highlights.
The big highlight is a 9 o'clock on HBO, Jeremy Lin documentary, 38 at the Garden. Interested?
No.
Okay.
I'm just being honest with you.
All right. Sorry. Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell on Seth Meyers.
I watched SNL. It was fine. I didn't know anything about Brendan Gleeson. Like, then I was reminded he was the guy from In Bruges. I was like, oh, okay. Like, it was fine, and fine is all I can say.
Yeah.
It didn't make me suddenly a huge Brendan Gleeson guy.
Yeah. Well,
I guess they are doing a movie together.
Yeah, the Banshees of Inisherin. They're like friends.
Sure.
And then Brendan Gleeson's like, I can't be friends with you anymore, Colin Farrell. And then that's the premise of the movie.
Okay. I'm sure it's phenomenal. I'm sure it's wonderful. That's it?
Yeah,
that
is it.
Micah, you're on Instagram, at Micah.Ernest. Follow him there. Thanks today to Howard Griffith. Thanks also to Joe Serpico, as well as Jeff Newman, the CEO of the Maryland 5-Star, and former Terp Al Wallace. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Anything tomorrow?
True Forester.
Oh, my. We gotta get going. We got work to do. It's a rough scene around these parts. All right. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Baltimore County Police Department, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Maryland 5-Star, Guilford Hall Brewery, Great Eights Memorabilia, the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, Maryland Vascular Specialist, the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin. Follow him on Twitter and at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday night. Go whoever's playing the Yankees. Cleveland, go Cleveland. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too. If you are with us on audio, do nothing. If you're with us on video, give us a minute. Go back to where you started. Hit refresh. Simply the Bets is coming up next.